Which games are must bets for week 4 of the 2025 NFL season? Welcome, football fans and gridiron gamblers. It's Mitch here with my week 4 best bets versus the spread. This is the video where I break down my 5 bets versus the spread. My 5 favorite spreads to bet in week 4. If that sounds good, you know what to do. Spike the like button, show your love. It's absolutely free. Get in the comments and let me know, because I like to hear. What's your best bet? Which picks do you agree with and which picks do you disagree with? And also, don't be a jabroni. Subscribe to the channel, man, for weekly NFL early best bets, and last minute best bets. We have 3 different best bets videos here every single week, tracking every single NFL week, and hopefully making you some money. Let's get started with our first pick versus the spread for week 4. We are going to look at some European action. That's right. I like the Minnesota Vikings in Dublin to take down the Pittsburgh Steelers -2.5. Yes, Carson Wentz is the quarterback for the Vikings. We are trusting Carson Wentz over Aaron Rodgers, something I thought I would never say. But Aaron Rodgers has one key thing working against him. He is the worst quarterback currently in the NFL versus pressure. That against the Vikings is not a good thing to be, because you're facing Brian Flores, who, if he does anything well, which he does a lot of things well, is put pressure on the quarterback from a multitude of angles. You never know where it's coming from. And Rodgers, he's a little nervous back there. He gets people around him. He gets a rusher in his face. You never know. He might just throw it to the defense. He might panic. He might throw the ball at the dirt. He might give up on a play too fast. He might get rid of the ball too quickly. The Vikings have also been the best defense at limiting quarterbacks this year. They've only allowed 2 passing touchdowns. They've been fantastic. They've also been great at limiting short completions to minimum yards after catch. That's the entire Steelers offense. They can't run the ball whatsoever. The Vikings' weakness is stopping the run. And I just don't think the Steelers can run the ball on just about anybody. So I'm not too worried about that, right? If they're running these screens, the Vikings will be all over it. If they're drop back pass, there's going to be pressure on Aaron Rodgers. And Isaiah Rodgers for the Vikings, I think he can slow down DK Metcalf. He's been playing really well. He was spectacular against the Bengals. Now, I know that Bengals result was a little fluky in terms of it being a blowout as soon as it was. I think it was 34-3 at halftime because of an interception return, a fumble return, the multitude of turnovers by the Bengals. But at least it was decisive. That's the way that you should handle a game that you get all those turnovers, right? Meanwhile, the Pittsburgh Steelers had 5 turnovers from the New England Patriots, and they only won by a touchdown. And honestly, they got completely outplayed. The Patriots, they gave up the ball inside the Steelers 3-yard line twice. Inside Pittsburgh territory 4 times. They fumbled 4 times. And the Steelers only won by a touchdown. This is not a good Steelers team. Their offense is inept. They have very little in terms of weaponry. And they're facing one of the best defenses in football right now, the Minnesota Vikings, who are healthier, right? Andrew Van Ginkel is a one-man screen stopping machine. He might stop the Steelers' offense by himself. The Steelers' offensive line also isn't great. I think the Vikings can definitely get pressure on Rodgers and make life really difficult. So how much does Carson Wentz really have to do if his defense is completely shutting down the opposing side of the ball? I think he can simply play within the structure of the system. The Steelers' defense is not what it was. They may have the big names like Cam Hayward and TJ Watt and Jalen Ramsey, but they got ripped apart up and down the field. Drake May went. They got ripped apart by Justin Fields. They got shredded by Sam Darnold. This is not a very good defense right now. They're struggling to stop the run, which I do believe Jordan Mason has given the Vikings balance to their attack offensively they didn't have last year. Like, he had a huge game against the Bengals, nearly 150 yards. Now they have all their weapons returning with Jordan Addison fresh off suspension. Wentz has actually activated Hawkinson a little bit more over the middle of the field. And the offensive line with Christian Darrisaw, one of the best left tackles in football, is also playing in this game. They struggled on the offensive line early because they didn't have Darrisaw there. So they're healthier on offense. They have really good coaching. I think a scheme defensively that will frustrate Aaron Rodgers. And I think Kevin O'Connell will simply manage Carson Wentz, especially if they're able to run the ball. I don't see how the Steelers win this game. Unless, once again, they win by the Tomlin voodoo. Turnovers, mistakes. I simply think the Vikings are too well coached for that to happen. So I think Minnesota, it might be a grinder, but I think they come out on top and they win this game and they cover 2.5. I like the Vikings. They're a much better team than the Steelers. And I think they'll show that in Dublin. Okay. Our next pick is also a fade of what happened to the Patriots last week and a fade of what the Panthers did last week. So the Patriots are favored by 5.5 at home against the Panthers. And a lot of you are simply not going to bet this because there are numerous people in my comments saying, why are you so biased when it comes to the Patriots? Like, just eliminate your bias, and I like your analysis. Okay, like, let's think about it. I didn't bet on the Patriots in week 1. I never recommended it. Week 2, I told you to bet the Patriots, and they won and they covered. Week 3, they would have won that game by multiple touchdowns, and they were getting points at home against the Steelers, if not for 5 turnovers. I can't predict 4 fumbles, guys. I can't predict that. So you might think that I'm biased. I'm simply just analyzing the matchups. And I simply believe the Patriots are a good team that is young, that is yet to really learn how to win. But I believe they do that in this game. I believe that with Mike Vrabel as their coach, I think that they're going to be on their details this week. Like, I just don't think that the flukiness of what happened last week will repeat. Same could be said about Carolina. Carolina was outperformed statistically by the Atlanta Falcons, and yet they won 30-0. And it came from one of the worst quarterback performances that I've seen this year in Michael Penix. There's guys wide open, and he's not seeing it. Drake May right now has been one of the best quarterbacks in football, as evidenced by his statistics on 3rd and 4th down, where he's actually been the best quarterback in the NFL on 3rd and 4th down. The Patriots offense has been getting better and better and better. Miami and Pittsburgh games, they look great. I think Carolina is actually a little underrated in their secondary, but they have major issues on offense, and you can certainly run the ball on Carolina. So I think the Patriots are just going to fix those mistakes, and they're not going to be as unfortunate or unlucky as they were in week 3. Under 6, I believe the Patriots cover this game. I believe they win by at least a touchdown. There are multiple mismatches here. First of all, Hunter Henry has been the Patriots' leading receiver at tight end. The Panthers are bad against tight ends. I believe they have allowed the most yards to the tight end position this year. Second, they're a bottom 3 team against the run. I do believe that Travion Henderson and the Patriots can find a way to have balance. If that's the case, we know Drake May is performing. Drake May is going to make plays as a runner. He's going to make plays as a passer. Carolina struggles to rush the passer, which is really how you stop Drake May. The Patriots don't have a great offensive line. That's how the Steelers won the game, is essentially, well, not even. I mean, Stevenson just fumbled the ball and Gibson fumbled the ball. But they did get a strip on Drake May for holding the ball a little bit too long, and they did have a couple different sacks, but that didn't really seem to matter. It's just that the Panthers might not even be able to do that against the Patriots because they don't have a pass rush. Like, the Steelers at least have a pass rush. They can disrupt and make you play fast. Like, Drake May might have a lot of time here to dissect this secondary, right? So I believe New England is just underrated at quarterback, underrated on offense. I love how Josh is calling the game. And they're just due to not fumble 4 times. Like, seriously. You know what I'm saying? And then on the other side of the ball, they have had the #1 defensive tackle duo in the NFL in pass rush win rate. These are real stats. You guys can look them up. This is not bias. This is real. And Carolina is missing multiple interior offensive linemen. Bryce Young is a small quarterback. If the pocket is collapsing on him, he's going to be eaten alive by the Patriots interior led by Milton Williams, who's been playing great. Christian Gonzalez, the Patriots' best player, should be returning for this game. He is likely to play, unlike the last couple of weeks. He hasn't played this season yet, and the biggest deficiency for the Patriots has been their coverage. I believe with Gonzo back, that will limit T-Mac on the outside, who's entering this game banged up. And honestly, Carolina doesn't have a lot else. Hunter Renfrow, Legette's also injured. Their tight end just went on IR. Their running game has been mediocre, and the Patriots have been the second best team against running backs this year. So this seems like a mismatch. Like, I think this spread appears large for a reason, because I think Vegas knows the Patriots are a team on the rise, while Carolina was kind of a fortunate road underdog in a divisional spot, and they kind of just caught the Falcons napping. I think the Patriots will reverse their unluckiness this week and have a statement victory by winning by like double digits. I personally believe that. So I think I am going to take the Patriots under 6, 5.5, 5. I've even seen some 4.5s out there. So if you can get that, even better. But honestly, that number doesn't really make a huge difference to me. So I'm going to take the Patriots here once again, and we'll see if we can get above 500 with the Patriots. Okay. The Detroit Lions are my third pick at -9.5. I've seen some 10s pop up just to be cautious. I do believe that this game will not get any higher than 10, right? At 10, I think people will start to bet it back down to 9.5. So just be patient or try to find the best number you possibly can and play it at 9.5. I like the Lions in this spot. Traditionally, Cleveland as a defense has been great at home and a little bit worse on the road. We've even seen the trend so far this year where they allowed 40-plus points to the Ravens. Now, a lot of that came down to their offense struggling and Joe Flacco struggling and turning the ball over, but he does that every game. Like, that very well could happen again against the Lions. The Lions looked dominant against Baltimore. They looked like an elite Super Bowl contender, and the thing I can trust about Detroit is their consistency, especially when they play at home. They come out and they fire, and they play with energy, and they never really stop with the foot on the gas. And that's what I like betting Detroit when they're a favorite, right? They play Cleveland this week, coming off a huge victory, sort of a fluky victory over the Packers, but still nonetheless a victory, an upset over one of the best teams in football at home. Now they go on the road. No one expects them to win. This is probably a letdown for the Browns in some ways, even if it could be a letdown for the Lions in some ways because it's a short week after a big win on the road against the Ravens. But I think this is just a mismatch. Like, when you look at it from the defensive side of the football for the Lions, they've been solid against the run so far this year. I think Derrick Henry really only had one good run against them. Cleveland's entire offense is Quinshon Judkins, their new rookie running back. If they're not able to really run the ball all that successfully, it allows Joe Flacco to drop back against a pass rush that's going to be playing multiple backup tackles. I think one of the tackles for Cleveland just went on IR. Aiden Hutchinson, he's a dog. I loved how Detroit played up front last week with Muhammad having multiple sacks on Lamar Jackson, the way they were able to scheme for Lamar Jackson. I think they'll have some things for Joe Flacco to make him a little bit antsy in the pocket. Obviously, he can't move, so you can certainly blitz him in certain situations. Detroit, I feel like, can hold up in the back end, whether it be Alex Anzalone and Brian Branch matching up with their tight ends, or it be their cornerbacks, DJ Reed, Terrion Arnold matching up with those receivers, which Cleveland's rather limited at wide receiver outside of Jerry Jeudy. So I kind of just think Joe Flacco has not looked good this year. The Browns offense, like, what have they done this year? They can't score 20 points. You know what I'm saying? And Detroit, on the other side of things, they're just very challenging to stop. Cleveland is spectacular on defense. They might have the best defense in football. Now, watch out because Denzel Ward is a bit banged up. I think, honestly, Denzel Ward's the most underrated NFL player there is. He blocked the field goal last week or was very close to it. He was very impactful on that play to win them the game. And then he covers number one receivers every week with very little help. He's banged up entering this game. Watch out for that because that could unlock Jamison Williams on the outside. If there is a weakness to Cleveland, it's playing that slot receiver where Amon-Ra resides. Then you have to also match up with Sam Laporta. You have to match up with Jahmyr Gibbs out of the backfield. The Lions have so many different ways of beating man coverage, so many different ways of dissecting zone coverage. Jared Goff very rarely makes mistakes, which also makes him a very good favorite because he's not a guy that turns it over a ton, and he doesn't make a lot of negative plays. He doesn't take a lot of sacks. He's somebody that gets rid of the ball. So that's where a team with a great defense can catch you as an underdog. But Detroit, they don't get caught because Goff makes smart decisions and he understands the length of the game and how it may go. And this game, it might be a struggle early, but I think eventually Detroit's defense will make stop after stop, maybe turnover, sack, whatever, and they'll give the Lions enough possessions to run the ball, stay patient, use play action, find their plays against Cleveland, and they have much better skill talent than the Packers, which I think was a major problem, as well as the Packers having multiple injuries on the offensive line, which exposed Jordan Love to pressure that I don't think Jared Goff will see as much at home in the Dome, where it's perfect to play offense. So I like the Lions here to win by multiple scores. I think they cover anything under 10. I like the Lions because I just don't think the Browns score enough points, and I think eventually the Lions pull away in this game. I like the favorites this week. Give me Detroit. Next, we have the Packers. So the Packers do have some injuries you have to be aware of on the offensive line, but luckily they play the worst defense in the NFL and maybe also in the CFL, the Dallas Cowboys. This defense is atrocious. They have allowed like the most fantasy points to wide receivers, the most fantasy points to quarterbacks. They are terrible. They can't stop the run. They can't rush the quarterback. And this really comes down to two things for me. The Green Bay Packers, first of all, own the Dallas Cowboys. Three things. They own the Dallas Cowboys. Matt LaFleur has never not covered the spread against Dallas, and he's never not beaten Dallas. That's first of all. Second, Matt LaFleur against this Dallas defense that is poorly coordinated, poorly communicated. They don't know what they're doing. They play a lot of cover three. It's a rather simple defense. Matt LaFleur is going to be able to find a million different ways to dissect this defense and find wide open players all over the field, just as Caleb Williams was able to strike all over the field with multiple wide open players. It's going to be a lot like the playoff game we saw not that long ago, a couple seasons ago, where Matt LaFleur just completely allowed Jordan Love to have the game of his life. And Jordan Love has always played well against Dallas, that his best game of his career against Dallas. Josh Jacobs should be able to get it going. When Jacobs gets it going, that's where the big play action plays strike. I could see Matthew Golden giving the Dallas Cowboys a lot of problems with his speed. Dallas is very slow in the secondary. They still have Romeo Doubs. They have Wicks. They have Kraft. They have multiple playmakers they can beat you with. But I think it comes down to Matt LaFleur just scheming up against a really poor defense that doesn't know what they're doing or how they're playing their assignments. It's atrocious. Like, they're giving up explosives after explosives after explosives, and they don't have a great pass rush right now. And on the other side, it's the Packer energy of Parsons returning home to Dallas. And that pass rush against an offensive line in Dallas that's mediocre and an offense that doesn't have CeeDee Lamb, who's a quick separator and a safety blanket for Dak Prescott. George Pickens, he's more of a downfield option. You're relying in Dallas on Jake Ferguson, Kevontae Turpin, Jalen Tolbert. That's not going to get it done against the Packers, who have a ferocious pass rush. It looks like Dallas could be without Tyler Booker, their rookie guard. Their run game could have success, Dallas, but I don't think it will have enough success for it to offset the ability for the Packers to get home on Dak Prescott, get pressure on Dak Prescott, and just rally to the ball. They're so fast. I don't see a lot of yak going down for Dallas. So I just think eventually, the Packers should win this game by 2 touchdowns plus. Their pass rush is too good. If they get ahead on the scoreboard, they're just going to continue to pound Dallas in this spot. And there's a point to prove because Parsons is motivating this team to kick the living crap out of Jerry Jones. So I would prefer 6.5. I would still bet it at 7, but I prefer 6.5. Either way, I like the Packers, another favorite, to win this game and to cover. And our fifth and final pick, which I gotta say, I struggled a ton with the fifth pick this week. I've considered Tampa plus 3.5, but I want to leave that for maybe the last minute bets because I need to see who's playing and who's not playing for each team. There's so many injuries. There's a lot of injuries in the NFL right now, which is making me kind of like rattled on who to pick in some of these games. It's just hard to get to 5 sometimes. I really did like Miami at 2.5 on Monday night. It does appear that it might be getting to 3, which that number is a little bit less enticing, but I might make that a last minute bet. I might, lay Miami at home with 10 days to prepare with Mike McDaniel's job on the line on Monday night against Justin Fields. I might do that. I considered that. But ultimately, the safest pick for me, and I know that this feels like a trap, and I feel like a lot of people will be against me here, is the Chargers -6. Specifically at 6, I really like it. 6.5, a little bit less so, but there are 6s out there, and I believe this line will probably stay at 6. I mean, that's exactly what the Chiefs laid on the road at the Giants last week on Sunday Night Football. It was a primetime spot, and yet the Giants completely laid an egg there offensively. Now, the reason I like the Chargers, part of it is fundamental analysis. The Chargers beat the Chiefs. The Chargers kind of dominated the Chiefs, and they've been the better team than the Chiefs this entire season so far. The Chiefs laid 6 at the Giants on prime time, not against a rookie quarterback, against a very experienced quarterback, right? The Chargers are laying 6 at the Giants, not in prime time. I just feel like prime time, that gets the energy up. The fans are rowdy, a little bit alcohol, you got that in your system. Like, I feel like the Giants, this spot is kind of tough for the Chargers because they've had the Brazil trip. And then, of course, they're playing an early game on Sunday when they're a West Coast team going west to east. I get all that stuff. But I simply look at the football, and it's like the Chargers right now have probably the best scoring defense in football. Last year they did, and this year they're in the mix because they just don't give up big plays at all. They're so fundamentally sound. They are so well prepared. They are so well coached. Minter is an absolute ace as a defensive coordinator. And it's a complete mismatch for his defense to be playing against a rookie quarterback who's not even like a great prospect. Like Jackson Dart has aura, he has swag, but people are putting too much into like his aura. Like he's not that great of a player. He doesn't have that great of really any trait from what I studied at the college level. Like he could be a fine starter in my opinion, right? And sure, there's a little bit of unknown with Jackson Dart, but we kind of know what the unknown is. Like the quick game, the RPO, he might be a little bit better than Russ at accessing the middle of the field. He's a better runner than Russ. Those things the Chargers will understand just as well as you and I. Like, let's be fair. And the Chargers are just a very good defense that suffocate in coverage and don't allow touchdowns in the red zone. So if the Giants even move the ball and they're just kicking field goals, there's going to be a moment where the rookie makes a rookie mistake, whether it be holding the ball too long and taking a sack and maybe getting strip sacked, whether it be throwing a pick into coverage that he doesn't really understand. There's going to be a moment where Jackson Dart makes a mistake. And the Chargers and Justin Herbert are going to capitalize. I think the thing that people are also looking at in this matchup is the Giants' defensive line against the Chargers' depleted offensive line. But the thing with the Chargers is, if you actually look at their offensive line, all of these guys have played NFL starting snaps. It's not like they're playing guys that are totally terrible, right? Their right guard, where they have an injury to Becton. Their right tackle, Pipkins, where they have an injury, of course, to Slater that they've had all year. Like, sure, those guys look bad against Nick Bonito and Zach Allen and John Franklin Myers and probably the best pass rush in football, right? Of Denver, or one of them, right? But the Giants, sure, they have a very good front four, but they're not accessing it the way that Vance Joseph does with the Broncos. They're not producing the way the Broncos do, the way the Texans do. They're not producing at that level of a pass rush, right? Like, they're effective at times, but it feels like they're very inconsistent. They're very poorly coached, this Giants team. The Chargers are very well coached, and I think they can run the ball on the Giants, which will slow down the pass rush. And I believe there are massive disadvantages for the Giants in the secondary. I think the Giants still have a very poor secondary. We saw that against Tyquan Thornton and the Chiefs. Like, the Chiefs have terrible receivers, and they were giving up big plays to Tyquan Thornton. Like, Quentin Johnston has been awesome. Keenan Allen has been good. Ladd McConkey has been good. Like, Justin Herbert has been throwing seeds. And if they run the ball and they set up their protections with play action where you can slide a tight end over, chip a back, that's going to provide that extra time for Herbert to strike down the field against a very exposable secondary and cornerback group of the Giants. So personally, I think that the Chargers defense is just too complex for a rookie. I think that ultimately Jackson Dart, he might give a hype early. The Giants might catch the Chargers napping early in the game. But I feel like eventually the talent, the preparation, the coaching of these teams will be too much to overcome for the Giants to cover this. So I think the Chargers win by at least 7. I like that it's at 6, where it could be 24-17, and the Chargers still find a way to cover. So rookie mistakes will happen. Give me Justin Herbert, who might be playing like the best quarterback in the league, to continue to cover spreads and win us some money. There it is, guys. My best bets for week 4 of the 2025 NFL season. Let me know yours in the comment section below. And if you're searching for all of my bets each and every month, it's $5 a month on Patreon. Link in the pinned comment, link in the description. Those are where you can get my bets, including some of my favorite teasers, including my over-under plays, my prop picks. Everything that I actually bet with my real money is on Patreon. Go check that out. Link in the description. Thanks for watching. It's Mitch. We'll see you next time. Good luck and peace.